We are in Harveysburg, Ohio, in the Historical Society building called the First Free Black School in the Northwest Territory. Well, back in the early 1800s, mid-1800s, the state was segregated, as was the nation. Black children were welcome in Ohio, but they were not to enter into school. Blacks and whites did not mingle. It was a law. So Elizabeth Harvey, who was a staunch Quaker and believed in freedom for all people, she established this school for the purpose of educating non-white children. We know that there were other schools in Cincinnati for black children, but we think this was the first building actually built for the purpose of educating the black children. We're not sure how many went through, we don't have a record, but we do have a picture that shows a group, and I think there's about 20, 25, 30 students that were here at one time. I think that it shows the humanity side of man, that we do care about other people, other nationalities, and other minority groups. And it's interesting to know how that years ago there were people who cared then, and instead of keeping people into slavery, we were finally able to let them be as free as the white people were free. I'm sure that it was like any other school. The teachers were educated to prepare themselves for teaching. Elizabeth Harvey was one of the first teachers, and I'm sure that the classes were maintained pretty much the same way they would have been maintained in any other school. And they probably had a recess time. The only difference between the schools now and then, they had to go outside to go to the bathroom. And there was no electricity, of course, at that time. So they had to depend on daylight. We think they may have, rather than desks like we're familiar, that they may have had benches. And when the building was sold, I don't know what became of their desks or any of those things. I'm sure that there wasn't that much here other than desks. Any personal belongings the children would have taken. So we don't know or have any idea of what became of anything that was left here. Elizabeth Harvey, the one who organized and had the school building built, she and her husband ended up in Kansas. And so of course then they had no longer had anything to do with the building. So any records from the beginning she probably carried with her when they moved to Kansas. It's a unique thing, I think, for us to have this building this long, this early in history of the black people. And we're trying to preserve it for them more than for ourselves, because it is a part of black history.